Hi INFJs and autistic INFJs, welcome back to my channel. INFJs are some of the most gifted people out there. So why do so many of us feel like we're not good enough? Why do we shrink ourselves, avoid risks, stay small, or if you're like me, nearly invisible, when we have so much potential? If you've ever felt like you're not good enough, like you don't measure up, or like you're just too much in all the wrong ways, you're definitely not alone. Lots of INFJs and autistic INFJs can relate to this. And it's not just some random insecurity or because we dwell so much on the past and we just need to learn to get over things, as so many of us are told. It's wired into the way we process the world as INFJs, and especially for autistic INFJs. I had a massive inferiority complex. No matter what I did, no matter who I was around, and it didn't matter how disrespectful they were to me, if they used me, if they ridiculed me, it really didn't matter. It would trigger my people-pleasing tendencies so bad because I figured that if I could make everybody else around me happy and feel better, that I would feel better about myself. And with these people-pleasing tendencies that it triggered, I made myself stay small. Because I also figured that if I stayed small and nobody would notice me, they wouldn't ridicule me or make me feel bad about myself or anything like that. And I actually truly believe that I was supposed to stay small so nobody would notice me. So today, I'm going to break down why this happens for INFJs and autistic INFJs. I'm trying something new, very excited and nervous because it's new. I created an INFJ Success Blueprint 3-part series of videos. So this is the first video in this series. And we're going to be talking about the INFJ Inferiority Complex, why it's not our fault, why it happens, why it's not our fault, but most of all, and most importantly, what we can do to finally break free and start feeling good about ourselves and start living that life that we desire. Because in order to live that life that we desire, that's full of fulfillment and purpose and just feeling good about ourselves, we need to stop playing small. We need to put ourselves out there to be able to take risks and not feel bad about who we are. So welcome to my channel. I'm very excited about this 3-part series because it's new, it's going to be fun, and I like helping people. Welcome to my channel. My name's Trina. I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I created this channel with hopes of helping people like myself. And I also help INFJs and autistic INFJs heal their self-love and get to a level of self-acceptance through coaching, classes, and community. I hope you find my channel helpful. I truly hope you find it helpful. I'm glad that you found it. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad you guys came back. I invite you, if you haven't yet, to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate the support. And I will tell you, sometimes I lose my words and what I'm talking about, but that's okay. My videos are completely unedited. Editing is like way too much for me. It's like sensory overload and I will shut down. So I don't edit my videos. I know how, but I just don't like to. So you have to bear with me on my mistakes. But you know what? That's what makes us human and that's what makes it relatable, isn't it? Okay, before we get going, enough rambling about that. I have INFJ meet and greet registration open for March. I almost said September. That would have been way off on our months. For March 2025, virtual meet and greet. So if you want to connect with other INFJs and autistic INFJs and feel like you finally belong somewhere and just get to know us and relate and, have fun, talk about INFJ things, feel comfortable, not feel judged. This is a place to be. We meet for about an hour to an hour and a half. Have a great time. I have met so many amazing friends doing this. It's one of my most favorite things to do is hosting this virtual INFJ meet and greet. I get so excited about it. Anyway, registration is open. You can follow the link in the description of this video to learn more about it. There are 2 dates to accommodate different time zones. All right, let's get into why INFJs struggle with inferiority. This was a huge one for me. Oh, thinking back now, I struggled with this so badly. So there are some reasons why we tend to struggle with this. We have hyper awareness of our flaws due to our introverted intuition and our introverted thinking. That's the culprit in this. Both are powerhouses, especially that introverted intuition. We see more, way more. We notice so much more than any other personality type. So we also doubt more because we notice more about ourselves. Sometimes we notice things that really aren't even there. Just so you know, I used to do that. Plus, we have been trained to be this way because of repetitively being judged or rejected that many of us endured during our childhood. I know I did. It was like a daily thing. During my school years, constantly being judged and rejected on a daily basis. So we become very hypersensitive to our flaws because we think that we're bad. We think that we're broken when this happens on a daily basis, right? While others operate on surface level confidence, we analyze every single thing and we overthink every single thing for like years to come. It's horrible, making us more prone to self-doubt. Have you ever talked yourself out of doing something? I have. Like I would get this, there's so many things that I want to do. And if I'm not careful, I will still do this. I will actually talk myself out of even starting them. So I have to be very mindful of this because I completely overanalyzed it. I overthought it and talked myself out of doing something. So I have to be careful and catch myself when I'm doing this. Have you ever heard the saying, the more we think, the more we doubt, the more we doubt, the less we do, the less we do, the more we think, the keeps going. You can sing it to that song, Beans, Beans, the Magical Fruit, and then you'll get it stuck in your head, which is a good thing because the reverse is true. I got to reverse this. Let my brain catch up for a second. The less we think, the less we doubt, the less we doubt, the more we do, the more we do, the less we think, the less you get it. You get it. Anyway, that was really helpful. When I learned that, I'd recite it in my mind when I got caught overthinking and overanalyzing and talking myself out of something. I'd start singing that song to myself. It is very helpful. A little corny, but it's helpful. Here's the thing to keep in mind though. Even though it can feel like we're failing more than others, and it truly can, I know for me, it felt like that, we aren't. We're not failing more than everybody else. We truly aren't. Everybody fails. It's just part of being human. We're just more aware of every little thing. Perfectionism, it keeps us stuck as well in this. We tend to have this deep inner vision of who we think we should be, right? I know I did. I'm very mindful of this, which often is impacted and shaped by society's expectations, making it very hard to nearly impossible to achieve this vision. So I want to ask you, do you have a vision of yourself that, if you really think about it, a vision of yourself of who you should be, of who you think you should be? I should say that out loud. I was thinking it in my brain, but then I remembered you guys can't hear what I'm thinking in my brain, and that's kind of a challenge for me. So we have this vision of ourselves, but when we really think about it, this happened for me. When I really thought about it, I realized that this vision I had for myself, for one, was like way out of reach. For two, it wasn't even a vision I wanted for myself. It was what society had expected of me. And I created this vision and totally beat myself up about it. It was crazy, very crazy. When we don't measure up to this vision, we tend to judge ourselves for not measuring up. And we think that everybody else sees us as this failure that we're seeing ourselves as, right? In the same way. But a secret, they don't. They don't see you like that. In fact, a lot of people, and mostly the ones that have been nasty to you, they actually are the ones that see you as super successful, that see you as an energy that you just can't mess with, and it frightens them, and that's why they are like nasty to you. Just so you know. It's quite interesting when you start digging into what makes people tick and why they do the things they do. Generally, people will act out and be nasty to other people because they're scared. They're scared of something they've seen. So no, people do not see you as a failure, even though you think that you are a failure or you feel that way and you think that people see you this way. They don't. They see your light. You know, I know a young girl. I don't know if she's an INFJ. I do know she's a very deep introvert. At times I suspect she might be an INFJ. Anyway, very low self-worth, very low self-confidence. I feel really bad for her actually, because I see that was me like years ago, and I know how much work she has to do for herself. Anyway, I can see her light. I can see her energy and her power that she doesn't see. And I often say to myself, I wish that she could see herself out of my eyes, the way I see her, because it would just blow her away how I see her. Anyway, it goes with this, that we think that people see us as we feel about ourselves, but they don't, which is quite interesting. Another interesting, this is a little bit off topic, but it kind of goes with it. We think that people see us as a failure, that we feel that we are, because of the way they treat us. Now, here's where it gets interesting. People treat us the way we're treating ourselves. So it digs deep, it actually goes into a subconscious level. The energy that we put out there and our appraisal of ourselves, subconsciously, it's putting it out there, and people will mirror that back to us. They don't even know they're doing it. This is what our human subconscious, or whatever it's called, does without us even realizing it. Isn't that interesting? So when we're playing small and we've got that inferiority complex and we're feeling bad about ourselves and we have low self-worth and we're not being nice to ourselves and we're just lacking in all the areas that we shouldn't be lacking in, because that would mean that we're doing better than we are and we don't feel like we're worthy of that, people will actually mirror that to us, back to us, and treat us accordingly. They don't even realize they're doing it. It's so interesting. It's a little Google research to do on that. I don't remember the technical name, but if you just research what I was blabbering about, it will come up. It's quite interesting. So then we won't take action because we think that we are not good enough. Yet the truth is, action is what makes us good enough. So have you ever felt that way? I can't do this. I'm not good enough yet. So I'm not going to start it, but I'm going to wait until I feel good enough, and then I'm going to start it. You know what? You'll be waiting forever. You're never, ever going to feel more confident if that's what you're doing, because action is what builds that momentum of confidence and feeling good about ourselves and feeling like we're good enough. We have to take action. Another thing that keeps us in this inferiority complex is we absorb others' standards instead of defining our own. Now, this is quite interesting because this is our extroverted feeling, which makes us highly attuned to other people's expectations. And so, like, we are quite clear on what people expect from us, right? We are very clear, or sometimes we think we are clear on it. I can't honestly say that it's always 100% accurate. I had lost my word there for a second, so I was stuck on always. But for the most part, we know what other people expect from us, and we feel we must meet those expectations, even if they don't align with what we really want. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. We subconsciously adopt society's definition of success instead of honoring what success means to us. Now, here's a thing, a little story I want to tell you. First of all, I want to ask you, have you ever felt like you're failing at life? Which is kind of a silly question to ask INFJs, but I do want to ask that. But when you really think about it, you don't even really want those things that successful people have. This was me. I would come down on myself so bad, and I felt so inferior. I felt so inferior around other people, and I thought I had to play small and not be seen, be invisible, because that was my place in the world. And I wanted to be successful, and I thought this would bring me all the success I wanted. And when I thought about it, what success really was, when I started working on myself and started doing some value work, I realized what I was believing success was, that society led me to believe, I didn't even want it. I didn't want the title. I didn't want the big paycheck. I didn't want any of that. Didn't matter to me. I could have cared less. Success to me is how many people I can impact in positive ways and make them feel good about themselves and make their day brighter and make them smile. That's success for me. How many people in a day I can do that to. Success for me is being able to prioritize my day the way I want so that I'm not constantly dysregulated and overwhelmed and in a terrible meltdown all the time and feeling horrible inside. That was success to me and still is. It had nothing to do with this big title, working for a corporation, working my butt off so somebody else can be wealthy. Just to have that title and being stomped on and walked over. That wasn't success for me. So that is something interesting to keep in mind, is quite often we are pushing ourselves to live up to society's expectations of who we should be and what success should be, and it's not even our own. So how is this even more intense for autistic INFJs? We spend our whole lives adjusting our behavior to fit in. Can you, if you're an autistic INFJ, do you agree with that? I totally agree with that. We're like human pretzels. When we constantly feel that we are naturally, what we naturally are is wrong, inferiority becomes our default setting. That just becomes our default state. That's just where we are. And I spent most of my life until I was almost 40 in that state. It was horrible. So if you've ever been told that you're too quiet, you're too intense, you're too rigid, too weird, I always got told that. Too emotional, crybaby, sissy pants. Crybaby, sissy. Where was I going with that? I don't know. You know, all those names that you probably got called. It makes sense that we would feel that we're not good enough, right? When you hear that on a daily basis, of course, that sinks in and you're not feeling like you're good enough. But what if your strengths, and yes, those strengths, because everything I just listed is a strength. What if those strengths were just being seen through the wrong lens? Something to think about. Fear of failing is even stronger for autistic INFJs. Did you know that? INFJs struggle with fear of failure, but it's even stronger for autistic INFJs because of unpredictability is harder to process in autistic minds. Did you know that? I have a huge struggle with unpredictability. I'm trying to become friends with it. I'll let you know how it works. I've been working on it for quite a while. I would like to say I like unpredictability. You know what? I'm going to be talking about this in my next video. A thing that has helped me with this is unpredictability still scares me. Because the unknown scares me, and it's because I have a hard time processing that, right? So what helps me with this is I just think, let's just see what happens. I'm not going to die. Let's just see what happens. Where's this going to take me? Maybe it won't take me anywhere, and that's okay. Doesn't matter, right? We internalize criticism more deeply due to lifelong social struggles that we take even deeper. So criticism is a tough one. I've actually worked on this myself, and I will ask certain people for criticism. Does it cause me anxiety? Yes, totally it does. But I can get a handle on it now. It's not near as bad. And I take that criticism and I'll read through it and then I'll step back, take a few breaths, maybe go for a walk, maybe come back in a few days. And then I make a list of what I need to do to raise a little bit higher based on that criticism, because I know it was all done out of love. Anyway, it cuts deeply. So if people misunderstood or criticized you a lot growing up, which happened to me all the time, our brain learned to play small to avoid the pain. That's just what it did. It was keeping us safe. That's all, right? And this is what happened to me. That's why I felt that I had to be small. It was my safe spot. You know, if I was invisible, nobody's seen me. I didn't get criticized. I didn't get judged. I didn't get kicked. I didn't get spit on. I didn't get humiliated. So of course, that was what I learned to do. But we do not have to live by those rules anymore at all. And how do we break free from this? How do we break free? Number one, how do we break free from inferiority complex? Redefine success on your terms. Remember when I was just talking about, I was on a ramble about success, what I thought success was and what society led me to believe what it was it was things I didn't even want when I started looking into it. So instead of society's checklist, define what matters to you. Ask yourself, if nobody was watching, what would success look like for me? That's what I did. I got my answer. My answer was what I had shared with you. Success to me is how many people I can positively impact in my lifetime. Make their life a little bit better. Make them feel better about themselves. That's success for me. And again, like I said, not working for somebody else, working my butt off so that they can get wealthy. Things are so much more important, all those things that I listed, than a title and working my butt off for somebody to get wealthy. I've repeated that. Enough about that. The key is to make a list of things that align with your values, not somebody else's. This may take a little bit of value work. It did for me because I didn't know that I even was allowed to have values to begin with. So like I had to start from scratch to do a little bit of value work. Just get curious and ask yourself some question. What matters to you? What's important to you? Not everybody else, not what should be important to you. What is important to you? This list, it may not happen overnight, and that's fine. It took me a long time to make mine, and that's okay. There's no time limit. It's something to work on. It's no rush. Number 2, take action before you feel ready. Don't wait to be good enough, because you're just going to keep waiting. Confidence comes from doing, not from thinking. In fact, you'll lose all your confidence if you're just going to sit and think about it. If you're waiting for proof that you won't fail, the only way you're going to get the proof is by starting. Just putting that out there, something to think about. And number 3, challenge your inner narrative. Challenge your inner narrative? Yes. Challenge that voice inside your head. I can't stress this enough. Recognize when you start telling yourself stories instead of facts. Who told you this? Ask yourself. When something comes up and you feel like you're going to start talking yourself out of it, or you're feeling bad about yourself, just stop and ask yourself, who told me this? Is it true? Because I can guarantee it probably isn't. And if you're going to argue with yourself that it is true and find all the evidence to support that, then we need to shift that mindset into more of a growth mindset. Because if you're just going to be searching for evidence, your brain's going to send you more evidence, and it might not be true and probably isn't true. We are not less than. We've just been measuring ourselves with the wrong scale. The world needs INFJ depth, insight, INFJ unique way of seeing things. But the only way this happens is if we stop staying small and start stepping into what really matters to us. So now that we chatted about the inferiority complex, there is still one thing that trips INFJs up when we finally start taking risks, and that's expectations. This is what I'm going to be talking about in my next video of this little mini series, the INFJ Success Blueprint. I think that's so cool, that name. So we're going to be talking about this, about why expectations kill success, and one habit that helps INFJs actually stick to things. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, your thoughts around this. If you struggle with the inferiority complex, I would really like to hear about it because I struggled massively with it, like I shared. Again, if you're interested in the INFJ meet and greet, virtual meet and greet, the link is in the description of this video to learn more about it. And also, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel. I would definitely appreciate the support, and feel free to share this video. The more times it's shared, the more INFJs we get to help, and that's what it's all about. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.